visitors urged to be cautious on the roadways. Sand Creek, all the Region 9 villages received potable water for the first time, and Guyana listed as one of the top 20 best places to go in 2020. Stay with us for the next half an hour as we take you through major stories covered during November 30 to December 6th. His Excellency President David Granger has called for citizens to be more cautious when utilizing the country's roadways.
I urge all road users to observe the Guyana Police Force's code of behavior: care, caution, consideration, common sense, and courtesy as they drive on our roadways. Guyanese, I'm confident that the government, police force, non-governmental organizations such as regional road safety associations, and civil society could combine their efforts to make road use safe for everyone.
The president was addressing the nation for National Road Safety Week. He remarked that he had proposed a three-point approach to road safety, which includes more stringent measures to ensure safer roadways.
More stringent enforcement of our traffic laws, including those proscribing driving under the influence of alcohol, playing distracting music, and the use of cellular phones while driving. Stricter enforcement will help to promote greater safety on the roads. Regular and rigorous patrols of notorious high-risk zones must be conducted during daylight and night. Speed limits and limitations on the lawful complement of cargo and passengers by commercial and public transportation vehicles must be established. Greater road safety education through a systematic and sustained countrywide campaign must be conducted. The driver's licensing process must be strengthened to ensure that only competent and responsible persons are certified to drive vehicles.
President Granger noted that passengers also have a responsibility to ensure that the vehicle they are traveling in abides by the road safety rules. The head of state also extended sympathy to the relatives of those who lost their lives during the recent road accidents. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
For the first time in its history, the village of Sand Creek, Region 9, is now able to enjoy potable water with the commissioning of a new $25 million well.
The 25,272-feet facility will supply quality water to more than 1,000 residents, who for the first time will also be able to access potable water in their homes. Minister of Communities, the Honorable Ronald Bulkan, and Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, the Honorable Sidney Alicock, joined the villagers and the Guyana Water Incorporated in celebration on Saturday.
I would like to say to you, people of Sand Creek, that this is an opportunity you should not allow to go idly by. You have the opportunity to have this water system give you your daily needs. Now is the time to have your gardens, not only for bathing, have your gardens so that you could feed yourself.
GWI's Managing Director, Dr. Richard Van West Charles, said the company took counsel from President David Granger about the good life for all citizens. Last December, the entity established the Department of Hinterland Affairs.
This well can supply probably 3 or 4 sand creeks. And so we've been going all around. And the important part of it is run by the photovoltaic system. But we've got the trestles. And many of the facilities have the storage that would permit you to have 24/7.
Region 9 Chairman Brian Alicock said he is happy with the development in the region under the coalition government. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
Great news as International Travel Magazine lists Guyana as one of the top 20 of the best places to go in 2020.
Condé Nast Traveler is a luxury and lifestyle travel magazine published by Condé Nast. The magazine has won 25 National Magazine Awards. The magazine recommended stay at the Cara Lodge, a charmingly preserved heritage hotel dating from the 1840s, and trips to Kaito Falls, the world's largest single-drop waterfall, and community-owned and operated rainforest eco-lodges in the interior. Also, a curry tour in Georgetown and visits to distilleries for insight into the country's centuries-old rum-making history. According to the publication, the list of the best places to go in 2020 was compiled by surveying the magazine's well-traveled staff and the hyper-connected network of writers based all over the world. The aim is to compile a list that is geographically diverse but also has points of interest for every traveler. Director General of the Department of Tourism, Donald Sinclair, on Thursday responded to this latest achievement.
That we are named, I think, number 10 in the top 20 is a recognition of the work that has been done by the Guyana Tourism Authority in collaboration with the Department of Tourism, the Tourism Hospitality Association of Guyana, and of course these regions.
Sinclair noted that despite Guyana's newfound oil wealth, tourism is still very important to economic development.
We know that oil is coming, but we also know that tourism is growing, right? And while the revenues from oil will be more, we know that tourism is more people-centered. Tourism is going to be linking people with people, good? And it's a more sustainable endeavor, we think. Oil is not eternal, but the attractions, the destinations, and the people, those will always be here.
Guyana has been gaining worldwide attention as a tourist destination. In 2019 alone, Guyana copped 6 tourism awards: the world's #1 best of ecotourism at ITB Berlin, the world's leading travel and trade show, top 10 sustainable destination at ITB Berlin, and best of adventure from the International Travel and Tourism Awards at the World Travel Market in London, among others. Reporting for InfoHub, Natasha Smith.
At the helm of the plans for Guyana's promising future, His Excellency President David Granger has outlined education as a driving force for development across all sectors.
It is no secret that Guyana has been experiencing unprecedented development over the last 4 years. From infrastructure to agriculture, healthcare, and education, Guyana is finally on the right path to sustainable development for all. As part of the decade of development strategized by President David Granger, Guyana must continue to build on its improving education system to become an education nation, where every child is afforded the constitutional right to receive a free quality education at the nursery, primary, secondary, and now tertiary levels.
What I want to see is Guyana become an educated nation. I want to see 0 dropouts. I want to see more of our children matriculating, more people going into University of Guyana. I want to see free education at all levels, nursery, primary, secondary, and university.
His Excellency has embarked on several improvement projects in his term, most notably the public education transport system, commonly referred to as the 5 Bs. He envisions a country that is fueled by the engine of education.
I don't call it a legacy project, I call it an entitlement of Guyanese to have a good education. Once that happens, you will see the spin-off effects in other industries. So it's not something I dream about, I want to be remembered. I want Guyanese to be educated, and other things will follow after that.
According to President Granger, planning carefully for Guyana's future is paramount. In keeping with Sustainable Development Goal 5, which tables quality education, Guyana will increase its focus on building the educational capacity of the nation.
So there are many things that we can plan about, but we need an educated workforce. We need engineers and technicians and scientists who could make these things happen. We need to plan for these things. I don't sit down dreaming about them. I'm planning, and the basis of the plan is having a sound education system.
Natisha Isaacs for InfoHub.
Prime Minister the Honorable Moses Nagamutu welcomed to Guyana 400 persons of 60 different nationalities as he officially opened the Logos Hope Book Fair on Monday evening at the Guyana National Shipping Corporation Terminal.
Logos Hope is a ship operated by the German Christian charitable organization which features a mobile bookstore. as part of the International Christian Outreach Movement. Director of Logos Hope, Phil Hahn Park, explains.
The vision of Logos Hope is to advance the well-being of people everywhere. We also would like to learn from the motto of your country, Guyana: one people, one nation, and one destiny. And we are very excited and to be happy to be here in Georgetown. And we already could see the beauty that God has put in this city.
Prime Minister the Honorable Moses Nagamutu, while delivering remarks, shared how thrilled he was while researching the history of the Logos Hope.
Ni hao, guten Tag, and buenas tardes. Good evening, and welcome to Guyana. Couldn't help but being inspired by the fellowship on a vessel that would take to the world the message of hope. Your being here is part of that light that you're casting to help promote knowledge in the world. And for us in Guyana, knowledge is freedom, absolute freedom in my context. It is a freedom of the mind to grow and develop and to be able to get strength and values that we can contribute to the furtherance of the nation and the national interests and the interests of all of our people.
The Logos Hope has over 6,000 books in its collection, including books for recreational reading, professional references, personality and individual development, and books about different global cultures. In its 7 years of existence, the ship has visited 158 countries and assisted over 40 million people. For InfoHub, Rebecca Ganish.
Since taking office in 2015, the coalition government is boasting an ever-growing economy. Finance Minister, the Honorable Winston Jordan, said that despite challenges, the administration was able to upkeep the economy.
In more ways than one, the APNO-AFC coalition government has outshone in its performance, offering an improved quality of life for all Guyanese. In this regard, Minister of Finance, the Honorable Winston Jordan, said comparing this administration to the previous is like comparing cheese to chalk. The minister was speaking on Wednesday on DPI's program One-on-One.
Our achievements speak for themselves. Ask the person in Rupununi who has now got water from wells, where before we didn't even think we could have given them water to the wells that we have built.
With 2020 on the horizon, Minister Jordan said the administration has much in store for the country, particularly where the economy is concerned. He said the government will require the full cooperation of all sectors to achieve its outlined goals.
We have achievements that we could sell solidly in every sector, whether it be ICT hubs, the small business, what we have done for small businesses, and so on. When people begin to talk about them openly, we know that we have at least served in that sector. And every sector that we have. The infrastructural development that has been done on this government is second to none.
According to the finance minister, there are things that will be done differently in the government's next term, aimed at maximizing the quality of life for all. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
His Excellency President David Granger has rejected the opposition's move to deliberately boycott government-led functions and for attempts to stymie development in selective communities.
The head of state has slammed the moves by the PPP-elected regional officials to boycott government-led functions as well as official visits, and for also deliberately stymieing developmental works in some communities.
Sometimes you have a great deal of resistance from chairmen who were elected on a PPP ticket, and the information they provide is unreliable. Sometimes I, as president, would go to a region, and there's some regional chairmen who would never meet me. Some I've never met, even as a matter of courtesy. I can't rely on them.
Meantime, President Granger clarified that regional outreaches conducted by ministers and government officials were essential to addressing various challenges faced by citizens.
I have to go myself. I have to send my ministers to speak to the people, to go into the communities. And if we had a more cooperative attitude by the PPP elected officials, this country would work much better. But I can't rely on the behavior of some of these regional chairmen. I have to go myself. I have to send my ministers.
Over the past year, ministers and coalition government officials have been visiting communities across the regions to meet and listen to concerns of residents. Many of the issues and challenges highlighted have been resolved through swift action. Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
Government websites will soon become user-friendly for persons with disabilities. This was disclosed on Thursday by Minister of Public Telecommunications, the Honorable Catherine Hughes.
This was made possible following the training of 30 information technology professionals by the International Telecommunications Union. This disclosure was made during an exclusive interview with the DPI. The minister noted that the manner in which technology is used to improve the lives of persons living with disabilities is very important to the government.
Here we're talking about if you put a photograph on your website, how does a blind person get a sense of what's in that photograph? And so there's very specific coding elements that are embedded in how the website is designed. So we were able to train the ITU, which is based in the US, came down with a team of 4 people, and they trained about 30 persons in Guyana, mainly the IT professionals with all the ministries. So next year, we should start to see the revamping of websites, especially government websites.
The Telecommunications Minister pointed out that similar measures will also be provided to the private sector.
It was the trainers program. We were able to sign on to MOU just about a month ago with the University of Guyana. And so they will be going out to the private sector and to the public sector and offering this training on web accessibility.
Highlighting the government's distribution of electronic tablets to persons with disabilities through the Guyana Society for the Blind earlier this year, Minister Hughes said that through the use of technology, these persons have been excelling academically. Isaiah Braffett for InfoHub.
The Iowa Kramer International Center celebrated its 30th anniversary with a simple ceremony hosted at the Guyana.
The head of state told the gathering that a new covenant will be crafted to ensure Iowa Kramer's survival and success.
The environment must be preserved and protected for the benefit of our people, for the planet, and for present and future generations. We have much to lose if we are careless with the priceless, precious, and peerless resource of our environment. Guyana's biodiversity is more precious than petroleum.
The president noted that the preservation of the country's biodiversity can protect against the adverse effects of climate change.
The waters and forests abound with animal and plant life, including more than 8,000 plant species, 467 fish species, 814 bird species, 130 amphibians, 179 reptiles, 225 mammals, and many more. Guyana, as you can see from the map, is at the center of the Guyana Shield, one of the world's last remaining tracts of pristine rainforest, spread over 2.7 million square kilometers.
The Iowa Kramer International Center is an international not-for-profit organization governed by an international board of trustees and managed by a professional team of around 70 permanent staff in Georgetown and at the Iowa Kramer River Lodge and Research Center at Kuru Pukari. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
On the oil front, Brazil and Guyana are experiencing unprecedented investments in development, which will see production from the South American neighbors ballooning to more than 2.5 million barrels of oil per day by 2025.
Oil Now reports that industry analyst Wood Mackenzie says the global deepwater industry is set to continue to grow with output and is expected to reach 14.5 million barrels equivalent per day by 2025, with strong growth in both oil and gas. A challenging few years during the downturn forced deepwater to reinvent itself by cutting costs, cycle times, and break-evens. It has emerged much stronger and is ready for the next phase of investment, much of which will be in deeper waters and in new plays and new countries. Quote, Brazil will continue to lead on investment and production in its prolific Santos Basin, but major discoveries over the past decade have been transformational for Mozambique, Israel, Egypt, and Guyana. And while the type and quality of projects have changed, deep water is here to stay. End of quote. Woodmax Ian Thom, Research Director, Middle East Upstream, said deep water is one of the great growth themes of the oil and gas industry and is often associated with large, expensive, and complex long-cycle projects. According to Oil Now, water depth has been steadily increasing over the past 30 years. A typically deep water project in 2000 would have been in the 600 to 800 meter depth range. Now, growth from ultra-deep water projects, those at water depths of more than 1,500 meters, is outpacing shelf projects. By 2023, ultra-deep water should account for more than half of overall deep water production, with much of this growth coming from quality oil assets in Brazil, Guyana, and the U.S., Thom said. Thom said that as these fields get deeper and increasingly technically challenging, deep water will remain an industry for those with deep pockets. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
Minister of Communities, the Honorable Ronald Bulkan, revealed on Thursday that a coalition government over the last 4 years has delivered some 14,000 land titles, a representation of close to 4,000 titles per year.
Minister Bulkan said that the allocations are a great achievement for both the government and citizens. He was at the time being interviewed on DPI's one-on-one program.
It means that these persons or families have a legal instrument. It's the full proof of ownership, from which it's easier to secure funding, mortgages to allow for the construction of their homes. Equally and significantly, the length of time it now takes for the delivery of a title has been significantly reduced from what it was approximately 6 months in the past to now a little under 3 months.
The government has also pumped some $6 billion into the upgrades of 31 housing schemes across Guyana that were left bare by the previous government.
Of this sum, approximately $2.9 billion was invested in road construction and upgrades, and a further $2.7 billion in electricity, the supply and provision of electricity. This would have allowed for several achievements, and among these would have been, apart from the consolidation of infrastructure in existing schemes, the construction of 10 new housing schemes.
The minister assured that hinterland communities have not been neglected. The Hinterland Housing Program under the Sustainable Housing, partly funded by the Inter-American Development Bank, has seen 270 families benefiting from grants to build their homes. An additional 72 families were able to access funds to have their roofs replaced. Some $3.1 million was invested in the program. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
After a 15-year wait, Prosville, a community on the outskirts of Linden, officially received its own power supply system, an investment of $27 million, which was welcomed by the residents.
It's about 3 years now I living up here, right? And originally I used to live in Christianburg. I used to live with lights. I had light and thing, but I had to sacrifice myself and I got a land in Prosville. And I ended up coming to Prosville to live, right? So I feel happy.
That was handyman Sean Williams. Leandre Clark, a mechanic with 10 years experience, said the electricity will make studying a bit easier for the youth in the community.
We was petitioning a little time, but as time goes by, things end up working out. Since as this new government come into power, they promised us that they would give us lights for Christmas, and it come into reality.
Businesswoman Odessa Luther also welcomed the electricity supply since she said it will help her business to grow.
It's a long time we there without electricity, so it's a very good thing that the government could actually come in and do this for we.
During his address at the commissioning ceremony, Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable David Patterson, announced his ministry will move forward with its plans for Prosville and its sister village, Andyville.
We will be putting in street lights for Christmas, Andyville and Prosville.
In March of this year, Andyville received electricity for the first time in 2 decades. Minister Patterson reminded the residents that they are as important as any other Guyanese and that the coalition government remains committed towards enhancing the lives of its citizens. Minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Jaipal Sharma, and Member of Parliament, the Honorable Jermaine Figuera, were present at the event.
And just behind me is one of the many homes within this community that now has electricity. Reporter from Prosville in Linden with videographer Anil Silal, Shaquille Bourne, for InfoHub.
The Ministry of Communities has commenced a 2-day workshop to provide technical support to local government organs, with the Guyana Association of Municipalities and 5 selected municipalities being Wednesday's recipients.
The government believes that effective local governance is critical to national development. The seminar is one of several initiatives under the Capacity Building for the Local Government Reform Project.
Over the next 2 days, you'll be introduced to strategic planning tools and techniques and approaches that you may want to even go back and apply it in your personal sphere. And that is fine. That's what we want. We want this process to actually filter down to individuals.
That was Dr. Joseph Khan, Strategic Planning and Business Development expert. In brief remarks, Minister of Communities, the Honorable Ronald Bulkan, stressed the importance of local governance and its positive effects.
We've increased subventions to local authorities by approximately 67%, or in the case of NDCs, from 3 million annually to 5 million annually.
Minister Bulkan says neglect was evident in several areas before 2015, and it is the current administration that has reinstated the system of democratic credential councils.
This administration remains resolute to increasing both the influence and effectiveness of local organs. We are committed to fulfilling those constitutional provisions.
The seminar ends tomorrow. For InfoHub, I am Kellon Rover.
With Christmas a few weeks away, some shoppers are drafting their shopping lists, while vendors are optimistic about sales.
Guyanese are well known for their late shopping, as every year they cut it close as the time winds down on holiday shopping. InfoHub took its cameras to the streets of Georgetown on Tuesday, where vendors were eagerly awaiting the Christmas rush. The team spoke to several sellers who expressed their anticipation.
It would be much better than last year because remember the bonus that they're getting. People will shop.
So far it's going quite well. From last year, it's going quite well.
The InfoHub team also caught up with a few shoppers trying to beat the holiday rush.
From last year to now, yes, it's last year you would have had to wait longer for the speed pickup, but this year we're hitting it with a boom because, not forgetting, we bonus. Yeah, that's what we're hanging in on.
Guyana is much picking up than before, and really enjoy shopping because I find a lot of things that I wasn't find before.
Every year, as December 25 approaches, the capital city begins buzzing with activities as consumers rush to get that perfect item to make the holidays special. And this year is shaping up to be the same. For InfoHub, Anara Khan.
This has been InfoHub Recap, which looked at major stories carried from November 30th to December 6th. Remember to subscribe to our website for more stories and follow us on our social media platforms. Also, do take some time to review the Diaspora Digest and other publications found on our website. Do have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Goodbye.